right. Hopefully, third time's the charm. So, my house got to be chaos a little bit ago, and then it got quiet, and then I did this a second time, and I was about 2 minutes in, and AutoCAD crashed on me. So, um, I started dimensioning this first, and I realized something that this center line is really almost looking like a continuous line. And that's because I used the same line type, but I switched to a metric template, right? So before we were using inches, and that corresponded perfectly. But what I have to do now is I have to look back here, and what I did was I loaded an additional line type. Okay, so in this case, just to show how that worked again, I can click load, and I can come back down, and center was the original one. Then I loaded center 0.5x. I might as well just load center 2 right here and see what happens. And I'll say okay. So what I can do now is draw a line with that. I'll turn this off, and we're just going to experiment. We'll draw a line with the center layer with this line type, and that doesn't look quite right. Okay, we want the dashes to be a little bit more pronounced. So in this case, instead of center 0.5x, let's try center 2x. And you can see what happened. The ticks changed. They got bigger. And I like that better. I think that looks better. So we'll go ahead and do this. And just to review, because there are two circular things to dimension on this and a couple of diameters. So when I do this, I am going to put my center lines in. It's going to give me a center mark once I dimension this. Like if I go ahead to diameter, once I click that I want to put the diameter of that circle in, you can see it's going to go ahead and give me that center mark, and that stays put. But I still want to have a center line. What I do again is I draw a circle from center, about 2/3 the size should be fine. And then I connect the dots from the 12 o'clock to the 6 o'clock position. And then I do it one more time from the 9 o'clock to the 3 o'clock position. Now I can go ahead and get rid of that circle, and that looks beautiful. Okay. I'll do it one more time right here. So I'll go circle, about 2/3 the size. I'm not being scientific about this. Draw a line from 12 to 6 on the clock as well. And so when I say 12 to 6, I'm just saying this quadrant to this quadrant. And then go ahead and delete these, and your sound is a pound. All right. So center lines are in. I don't have any hidden lines on this drawing. There's nothing that I can't see or that I need to see. I mean, I guess I could have a hidden line here showing what's on the other side of this wedge-shaped thing where the flash goes in, but I really don't need that. So now I'm going to go to my dimension layer because everything else will be on dimensions. So again, if it's a portion of a curve or a portion of a circle, we always use radius, but if it's a full circle, we're going to use diameter. And I'm going to select about right there, and I can make this go wherever I want to. I'll go over that way, and I'll say that's good. My dimension style is a little bit small in this. If I wanted to change that, I could type in the word dim style and hit enter. I could go modify this, and I showed this in the setup video, but if I go to text, the height right now is 1.5. I'll make that 2, and then you can see this offset from dimension line is always half of whatever this is. So that's 1, and I have to make another change in symbols and arrows, so I'll make that 2, and then I'll make these center marks 1. And I'll say, okay, you got to hit set current when you do this, and you hit close. Now you can see my dimension got a little bit bigger, and that's a little clearer and easier for me to see. I could even make it a little bigger than that. But okay, I'll dimension one other thing, which is the diameter of that circle, and that looks good. And then as far as the only thing that you haven't used in dimensions so far is angular. So if I hit the drop down and I select angular, really easy, you just pick the two angles that create the angle, or the two lines that create the angle. Okay, and I would want to keep this out of the way. I know that 135, I know that 45 is the supplementary angle to that, so then that's totally fine. Ideally, I would pick this and put it right in there. And I guess that's fine. That's a little clearer for somebody to understand, but I am usually cautious about trying to stick dimensions inside of a drawing. Okay. Um, Other dimensions on this, and again, I'm not going to take you through the whole thing, but we got to know the width of the object. You can see now I'm crowding, I'm fighting myself over here with this dimension. They're crisscrossing and intersecting. So in this case, I would probably choose to go ahead and measure the width across the back. Um, in this case, I would want to, let's see, go across and do the entire thing across the width. So I'll go ahead and just try this. And I'm going to go dimension from here to here, keeping that perpendicular. So that's 50 overall. And I'm just going to try this then from here to here, and that's 30. Okay, I don't need to tell somebody that that's 20 because 50 minus 30 is 20. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I would like on this side to dimension the overall height of the camera as well as the height of that little band right there. And I don't like how this is, how it's stacking that 10 up there. So maybe another better way to do that would be to come out here, and that looks a little bit better. So maybe what I'll do then is dimension the camera height along my left side. Okay, 60 minus 10 is 50, so I don't have to provide any kind of dimensions there. All right. I really don't need to tell anyone that this is centered if it truly is centered. I really don't need to tell anyone if it's centered this way. If I wanted to, I could come in here and dimension this perpendicular to say that this is centered. It's 50 over. And I could do it again from the end of that center line and shoot that through there. And that would tell me that that is centered that way. So those are all good. This is starting to get real crowded, which makes me kind of want to delete that and then come over here and dimension this along this side, telling the person that that is 60. And if I can I get this in and say that it's 10? That works just fine too. Okay. Anything else that I got to think of? We already know that this sticks out. So I do have to do a little bit in here. I do want to tell the person that the dimension from here to here is 15. And then I also need to tell them that the dimension from here to here is 15. Okay. I would also dimension this to say that that is 10 by 10. And that looks good. And I could, if I wanted to, put a center mark in or something else, but I could just go ahead and assume that a person would know that if this is 15, everything else runs on center right here. But they would need to know how far over to make this. So I would also have to come in and put a dimension showing 10 down that way. And you can see how that's getting really screwy and kind of messy. So what I might want to do in that case is get rid of that and get rid of this. And what if I could do something like this and say I still have to tell the reader that this is a height of 5. If I tell them on one button and the other one's the same, they can probably make that conjecture. I could tell a person right here that this is 10 and so on and so forth. And I still haven't told yet that that section up to that wedge is a height of 10. And I can actually stack that just like so. Okay. That just about tells a person enough, but you really just want to double check that what you're doing, you're not overly crowding the drawing to, in trying to put these in. We still want it to be nice and clear. So that's the end of it, and I'll hit save and I will stop sharing, but that gives you everything you need for Multiview 5.